Welcome back to It's Your Story to Tell. If you haven't listened to part one of my conversation with Kim, go back because it's important that you hear the foundation of her story, what happens when we don't obey and we don't walk in alignment, and how that costs us something. It costs us emotionally, physically. You'll hear her story about how it impacted her health. It impacts our ability to walk in our careers and to be the best at what we feel called to do. We're going to be talking in this part a little bit more about Kim's story from where she made the hard choice to start getting back into the alignment, listening to those promptings, seeing the red flags, and the lessons that she learned as she continued to pursue surrender and obedience in her walk with the Lord and stepping into her calling and purpose that she had kind of laid down in that phase of life that she was in when we were talking in part one. Thanks for coming back and being here with me, Kim.
What if your breakthrough wasn't found in striving, but in walking? What if clarity, healing, and direction came not in the hustle, but in quiet, intentional steps led by the Spirit? Sacred Pathways is a monthly walking mentorship designed to align your body, soul, and spirit with the wisdom of God. Each month, you'll receive 12 walking lessons. These are short teachings designed to be experienced on the move. You'll also get one live group session and access to a community of women committed to walking in purpose. This is more than a routine. It's a rhythm of renewal, a sacred invitation to process life with God, one step at a time. If you're hungry for deeper intimacy with the Lord, clarity in your calling, and healing that moves through your whole being, this is your path. Join Sacred Pathways and start walking in wisdom today. Now enrolling on itsyourstorytotell.com.
Let's start if you would just share some of the first changes that you made as you started to get back into alignment spiritually, emotionally, physically.
Well, once I made that decision, the big decision, I started looking at other areas of my life where I could be out of alignment, other areas of my life where I was doing things to just please people or to keep up that facade, to wear that mask. And I just wanted to get rid of any area, any person, any friend, any place. I just wanted to really rid my life of anywhere where I wasn't aligned. And it was a slow, gradual process. I really had to just sit with the fact that I had done something that I knew didn't want me to do. And that was devastating to me, to be honest, because I felt like I had a good relationship with God. And for me to have done something so blatantly, so willfully disobedient, I really had to take a minute and sit with that. And that took a while, a couple of months, because I went through like a depression, the loss of the relationship, the loss of marriage, the loss of the appearance that everything was good, and then coming face to face with like, okay, so who am I now? And I didn't know. I really did not know. And when I started looking just back over my life, I realized like, wow, like you're so far from yourself. And so I really had to just dig down and find out who I was as a person. Like, what did I really want? Like, did I even want to be married? Is that something I wanted? And I was doing a lot of things I do. I like to volunteer, but I was on a lot of committees. I was on a lot of things just all around. And so I just started looking to see, all right, where else can I shave off? What else can I let go of? What else am I doing that I'm not supposed to be doing? And just one by one, I just started letting those things go. I had a year of no
Mhm.
because I would always say yes. If someone asked me something, you know, I didn't hesitate to say yes. And then I'd squeeze it in to do it. I would be exhausted or whatever the thing, it would be inconvenient for me, but it was doing something for them. It was difficult, but that's what I needed to do because I had so much piled on me. And I had been challenged by my therapist to really seek out and find who I was and what I really wanted. I didn't know.
Isn't that
So,
so crazy? I
yeah,
know it was for me. I was a very confident, very successful to the outside world because I had really perfected the masking quite well. And then here you are, things are kind of falling apart, and you're recognizing, I don't know who I am. I was working with a domestic abuse advocate, and I remember one of the exercises she gave me, she dumped out this box of all of these words, and they were value words. And first of all, I was overwhelmed by just the fact that there were so many of them. And she's like, we're going to try to narrow down, what are your top three values? And I'm like, we're going to narrow it down from probably like 100 little tiles with words. And she walked me through, okay, let's take them and put words together that seem similar to you. And so we could get piles, and we got to like 10 different piles. Well, what feels right for you? And so I was going through those, and then she's like, okay, so is that yours, or was that your parents? Was that your church? Asking me all of these hard questions. And sometimes I would just, well, I thought it's mine, but maybe it is that I learned to value, and maybe there's good reason to value that, but it's not the highest priority when you're trying to narrow down to three values. And it was a challenge for me. It's a very interesting self-discovery process. At that time, it was about 10 years ago, I was 36, just meeting myself and trying to get to know me like you would somebody that was a perfect stranger to you.
exactly. And it was weird. It felt weird because I had never, I'm like, what do you mean? What do I want? Like, I don't know even what I want. Everything that wanted was really based on somebody else's wants. I just adopted that. And so I started to really pay attention. You know what? I really began to do devotion daily. I really got into that because I wanted to heal for real. I wanted to heal from the inside out. I wanted my mind to heal. And as I started doing devotion, I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, like, I mean, I always kind of knew we're more than just a body, of course, right? But I really got the scriptures about your spirit, your soul, your body, that those things really began to come to life for me. And I'm like, wait a minute, like I can't just heal my body. I can't
Mhm.
just heal my mind. I have to heal all of me, the whole of me. And I'm body, I'm spirit, I'm soul. All of those areas have to be healed. And so I just really started digging deep and facing the things that were coming up for me, which is how I realized like, oh wow, like I'm kind of manipulating people a little bit. Oh wow, like I'm not really being honest. Wow, I'm a people pleaser, all these things just started coming up about myself. And so I continued on that journey with devotion, but I was still very much into health awareness and doing community health events because that's how I love it. It's my passion. But I started to incorporate the mind, body, spirit piece into my education because I wanted people to understand like you really maybe your mind, maybe your stress, right, is causing your body to react in a certain way, or maybe your emotions are causing you to think on these things that's making you depressed. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
tie those things in. But I mean, even still to this day, I still do my daily devotion and I pray and I talk to God like he's my best friend. He is. And so that's helping me heal, taking one day at a time. And I knew that I would lose some people, some friends would fall off just because I was getting to myself when it wasn't necessarily benefiting some relationships anymore like it had in the past. And I had a hard time with that. That was hurtful. I thought friends were like really friends, but they were there for a reason other than me. Because when I started to share, hey, listen, I'm growing, they were not okay with it. And then I had to start letting some people go because they weren't if I was around them, I would feel very anxious or I would find myself falling back into those same patterns. And I didn't want that anymore. I wanted true healing. I wanted to continue to heal. And so that's what I did. And I do today devotion and prayer. And I started incorporating that into my nursing care and stumbled upon the nurse coaching piece. And I really thought it was amazing that I could sit and not only educate somebody about their health, but I could bring in and incorporate the coaching piece of it. And it really aligned with the mind, body, spirit way that I was moving. I joined the coaching academy to learn more about that. And so that's what I'm doing now.
I love that you're talking about the holistic approach because I think as a nurse and as a nurse coach myself, we start to realize that we can't just do one piece because it pulls us out of greater alignment. Or there's times when we need medicine because it's going to take time for us to make those lifestyle changes and get to the root of why we're choosing the things that we're choosing when we know it's not healthy for us, because there is a reason. And so there's that emotional aspect of it. And so there is a time for medicine and intervention in that way. I think it's important that we just don't do one thing like medicine where we're just continuing to up your dose of your blood pressure, of your diabetes medication, because ultimately you aren't giving yourself the best life possible. And I know you want for people to experience a life where they are in alignment, mind, body, spirit, and able to truly enjoy and feel fulfilled in. I believe we were all created with a very unique purpose. And without us living in our purpose, things are missing in the world. We have something so beautiful to give to other people. And so when we can do that from a place of stability and health, it's amazing what can happen in your life, but also the impact in your family's life. These things are generational. And so when we say, okay, I'm not going to live like this anymore, and I'm going to choose this different direction, we're breaking generational cycles and saying we want something better for ourselves, for those around us. I also think it's so hard when you start changing and you start losing people, or you have to make a choice to end something because it's not going where you're going. I too experienced that, and it was really hard. I had one friend that we had raised children together. We would travel together, and there was just this point where it didn't work. It didn't serve either one of us any further. And that was hard. And so grieving that and recognizing that you're evolving into this new place, that God will bring along new people. But it's like the Red Sea where it didn't part until they started stepping into it. And that stepping into it is that hardest part because it's where you're leaving behind something that's certain for something that does not look like anything but death,
Right.
and believing that there is something better on the other side. And so learning how to regulate your nervous system and support yourself to be able to sit in the discomfort was something that I had to gain a whole lot of new skills in, because the reason I couldn't sit there was I didn't have the skills and I didn't know how to. You talked about saying no when you always wanted to say yes. There's an actual dialectical behavior skill called opposite action. And so if you want to change something, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. So you're going to have to take an opposite action. It's going to feel extremely uncomfortable. And so as something as simple as I always said yes, now I'm going to say no. And it doesn't really matter if I want to do it or not, but I'm training my brain that there's actually another way of doing it and that there's other options than just yes. So I really appreciate you kind of walking us through how those things were coming up for you, because sometimes we think those barriers that we hit, the little wall in our journey, it's like, oh, wait, maybe I stepped out of alignment again. Is this I'm out of an alignment, or is this actually I am moving into a new phase and I don't have the skills yet? And so sometimes that can be hard to tell which one is it. And by being able to sit with it and get curious instead of living life out of just reaction, I had to learn to really slow myself down and give myself space to make decisions because I really needed that time to make that assessment as to, well, what is this resistance? And why am I feeling this? And God, what do I need to do here so that I can move forward in alignment? But if we don't pause, if we don't get curious, there's no space for making a new decision.
I'm so glad you said that. I love talking to you. You said that so perfectly, especially the part about taking a pause. And in my devotion, in my self reflection, in just getting to know myself, who I was, I realized that I needed to take a break. Like if somebody's asking me a question or if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I needed to take a second to think about it before I just answer. Because if I was just answering, I was answering, falling right back into the same pattern of trying to please, trying to mask, trying to be perfect. I needed a minute. Let me think about it. Sometimes maybe a day. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Where before I didn't do that. I wanted to please, I wanted to be perfect. So I just gave an answer. But when I started self reflecting, when I started going deep, when I just started asking God, like, what's wrong with me? Asking Him to really reveal things about me, like, why am I this way? He really did start to uncover. And I realized, okay, so moving forward, I'm going to take a couple of seconds. I'm going to take a pause before I respond to someone to make sure that I'm coming from really who I am, because that's what I want to be now. Like, now that I'm discovering who I am, now that I'm being authentic, and I like it. I like me. I didn't like me before because but now I like it, so I wanna do more of it. I just asked two of my friends I asked is, "Listen, I'm going through a transition, things are changing, I'm gonna be stepping away a little bit. Can you please respect that?" Because I felt rushed by the friendships, and they did, they honored that. They took a step back, and I said, "When I'm ready to go out or hang out or whatever, talk, I'll call you. Are you okay with that?" And they were like, "Okay." So I was like, wow, like those
It's
people I
awesome.
value.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I had to be honest with them because
right.
I didn't want them to think I was being flaky because I just pulled away. I needed time to heal. I needed time to hear myself, to hear what God was saying, to see where I was wounded, where I was broken, and why. Why am I wounded? Like there was so much that was uncovered for me. It was like multiple aha moments and it was beautiful, but I knew I wasn't ready to really step out. Like I was really in the house for months, not because I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to be at home to heal. And I took that time to do that. I needed my heart healed. I had a lot of trauma and things that I hadn't let go of, things that I had perceived incorrectly. And I saw where I was wrong in a lot of situations and I needed my mind healed because I was very fearful. I was almost living every day like in so much fear of what? Sometimes I'd be like, Kim, what are you afraid of? Like what? But I had to get to the surface of that. What am I afraid of? And then my body, that was like the last piece to come along. I'm like, okay, now I feel like working out. And so now my body has come along. And I just I want to share that with people. There's some things I know because I've been in the trenches and I want to help other people heal from the ground up, from the inside out. I learned so much about myself and I really appreciate and I value myself and I value what I bring to the table, no matter how big or how small, I don't care. Now I feel comfortable when I go to a meeting. Yeah, I have a question, or have you thought about this? I would have never done that. Never, because I was too fearful to do it. I didn't feel like I had value. So now I know.
Love that you are no longer letting the enemy steal from you and steal from the world, because you have a very unique perspective and thought process and experiences that bring value to those conversations when you do ask a question or you do share a different perspective that could allow for something to be more successful. But the enemy doesn't want that. So what does he want us to do? He wants us to stay silent, to stay stuck in shame, because if you start doing things like speaking on a podcast, you're multiplying freedom. You had freedom, you're sharing it with me, you're sharing it with the world. So not only is it's taking back all that was stolen from you, but then it's like the loaves and fishes, free fish turning into like 1,000, feeding
Yeah.
all these people. I'm just so grateful for you using your education as a nurse, your personal experience, and just the commitment to walk the journey out, because there's so many people who are coaches and they're saying that they can help you have these results. But have they gone into the depths of their soul and let so much exposure happen? Because it's from that place that you really offer a sacred presence for others and a safe place to have that honesty. God showed me in the very beginning of doing these podcasts, you can't ask people to go where you haven't gone. And so it was like, oh my goodness, okay, so we're going to be exposing ourselves and sharing the heart and the things that are you kept in hiding. And it was like, yeah, I don't want you to keep that in hiding anymore. The shame that you felt, that you weren't valued, you're going to be able to stand on a stage or in a podcast episode and boldly share the power of your testimony and how, with my help, you have overcome these things. And that is what's possible for anyone who's listening. That can be your story too, if you're willing to allow the Spirit to reveal to you what he wants to heal, because you can't heal the things that you're hiding, you're wanting to deny. The first step is really humbling yourself to say, "Hey, I do not like the life I'm living, and I have a big dream. So God, show me where to start." And he's a gentle God, and he will never give us more than we can handle. He's going to just slowly reveal these things. And what I know now is it never ends. Every day I'm trying to make time for the Lord to show me. Or when I respond to somebody and something doesn't sit right with me, I need to sit with that. What was I responding to? Because most of the time we're reacting to something that happened in the past and we didn't even realize it. And so God continues to work and help us to become more like him. That's what we're here to do, is to become more like him and to be love to others. There's one thing that I want to close out our episode with, because I think it is really cool and I've seen it in my own life, where there's a period of what feels like God withholding from you your dream or your dream job or your dream marriage. But then you get to this other side of this work and letting go. And all of a sudden, I'm living my dream marriage. You have a job that God gave you that you had been hoping for a long time. Can you walk us through that? Because I think it's so important that we recognize God wants to give us the desires of our hearts, but he can't give them to us until we're prepared for them. And so going through that allowed you to be prepared for him to give you this gift.
So I didn't know. I had been doing like community education, health education. I had been throwing, I call small group socials at my home or in the local parks. And it was like a brunch and learn. If you remember what a brunch and learn is or was in the hospital, you get some food or you make it really nice. What I was doing was I was making these really nice events, having some music there. I'd have some food there. I have some games there. And I would invite my target audience, which were adult women for 40 and up. I would invite them there. And once they were there, and we listen to the music, we eat a little bit, I would give them some health information and just sprinkle it here and there, hoping to start and spark up a conversation around the health topic or whatever it is. So I did that for a while. I did that for maybe a couple of years. And then I thought they were successful. And then people would say, "Oh, that was really nice. When are you having the next one?" So for me, it was intentional. I said, you know what? They're not going to come if I just say, "Hey, I'm talking about hypertension." They're not going to come. "Oh, I'm talking about diabetes. Come on over." They're not coming. So I dressed it up. And people would come, women would come, and they would sit, we would have a good time, and I just enjoyed it. I just loved to do it. It was free to them, like, and that's what I had put down. I was like, "I'm not doing that no more," because I was trying to, manage the relationship, but I picked that back up, and when I picked it back up, the town partnered with me. They said, "Oh, we like what you're doing. We wanna partner with you," and so it became a little bigger. And I said, "Really, I want to do this as a career." And I'm praying to God. I'm like, "God, I don't want to work at the bedside anymore. Like, I'm tired, frustrated, for all the things." And it just really spoke to my heart. Like, you can do that. You can do this health education. And I'm like, "Yeah, but who's going to pay me for that? Like, I want to get paid. I don't want to keep doing it for free." And so I just kept seeing these things come up on Facebook, on my social platform, Facebook, and it was about nurse coaching. And I'm like, "Is that even a thing?" Like, I thought it was fake. I really did think I thought it was fake because I had never heard of it. So one day I really did Google it, and it gave me some information about it. I says, "Oh my God, this is a real thing." So then from there, I started searching the American Holistic Nursing Association. So I looked at the programs that were available to train you. Because I says, well, I don't know to be a coach. Like, I'm a great nurse. I can do that part, but I don't know how to be a coach. So I found a program that teaches you more than about the coaching aspect of it. It brings in the holistic piece. Long story short, I cannot believe that I've walked into this thing, just like, it's not a coincidence, because I don't believe in coincidences. I know that this is where God has me. Like, it fills my heart with such passion every time we meet up, because, every time we meet up, every time I'm reading some of the literature on it, it really just gives me such great joy. And I'm like, wow, I'm really stunned. So I would not have found that had I not made some changes in my life. I would not. I would still be stuck. So and I'm just at the tip of the iceberg. I know it. I feel it in my spirit. I said, "My gosh, I think this is really going to be a good thing for me." So yeah, I'm on that path. My program finishes in May. I'll take my board certifications. And that's another thing. I had a desire. I wanted to be board certified in something. And now here's my opportunity. Yeah.
Isn't God so
Here's my
fun?
opportunity.
I
Yes.
love it. I found it through Facebook too, and that's the crazy thing. There's positives about Facebook knowing all the things that you're interested in and looking for, because it directed me to find nurse coaching and helping to develop the community and for nurse coaches and support nurse coaches. It's just been such a fun thing for me to be able to participate in. And I love that it connected me to you. And I'm excited for you to finish up, get board certified, and start expanding your impact in your passion to help people live from a place of wholeness. If someone wants to get in touch with you and they're interested in your story, they want to have you on their podcast, or they wanted to connect with you and see about your coaching services, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. My company is called From My Heart to Yours. And then I have a website. It's fmhty.com. So the abbreviations are the initials for From My Heart to Yours. And then on Instagram, you can find me at fmhty 2024 is when I opened my business. I hope that's not too confusing, but
I'm going to link it all in the show notes. So if you're listening, you can go there. You'll be able to find how to connect with Kim. Kim, thank you so much for sharing your story, and not just the pain of going through a difficult relationship and wrestling with obedience, but the redemption on the other side of alignment. Listeners, I hope you've been inspired by what's possible. And if this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend, maybe someone who's trying to discern what God is saying to them in a complicated season, where they can understand that they're not alone, that God does want to reveal himself to you and help you in moving in to your purpose. Remember that your story matters, your healing matters, and alignment is the doorway to breakthrough. Please come back. Every Friday, we release a new story of somebody who has navigated something hard, but is now using it to make a difference. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care till then.